and welcome to the 18th episode of Women Prowess. So on behalf of Hope Foundation and Research Center, on behalf of the GTT Foundation, and on behalf of I2IT, I welcome the esteemed panelists of our day, our moderator, hosts of Women Prowess, all registered participants, our guests and friends, alumni who are watching us online through Facebook Live, and my colleagues who are present here today, and my dear students. So welcome to this wonderful afternoon and the 18th episode of Women Prowess. So let's begin this event, which is being hosted on campus after, I think, 4 years. This is our 4th year, and earlier because of the pandemic, and after that it was online, the event was online. But let's come back to our tradition of lighting the I2IT Vidya Jyoti. And to do the honors, I'd like to invite the dignitaries of the day, Ms. Sriya Khandelwal, Ms. A.R. Pranati Shroff Munot, Ms. Srirupa Saxena, Uma ma'am, Ganesh sir, Amrita Katara and Vaishali ma'am to please do the honors and light the I2IT Vidya Jyoti. Please step forward. Aruna ma'am, who has been the co-host of Women Prowess for so many years, unfortunately couldn't join us today due to a personal commitment, an emergency commitment, and she couldn't join us here today. Now to express our gratitude and our thanks to the esteemed panelists and guests who've actually made time to come and speak to us today, especially on a working day. So we'd like to show our appreciation and our thanks, and to do that we have a small token for them, and I'd like to invite the host Ganesh sir to please step forward, and Amrita to please join him as we welcome the guests individually. So let's start with Sriya Khandelwal ma'am. Please step forward. Welcome. Ganesh sir can give that. Thank you, Shriya ma'am. Next is A.R. Pranati Shroff Munot. Okay. Architect. Oh. I thought it was probably a suffix that is there to the name. Okay, so she's architect Pranati Shroff Munot. Okay, I stand corrected. Thank you, ma'am. And Srirupa Saxena. And finally, Uma ma'am, a small token of appreciation from us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So, before we begin the session, I'd like to take the honor of introducing Hope Foundation and Research Center, as well as GTT Foundation. So just a few minutes before I take you through this presentation. So the HFRC, that is the Hope Foundation and Research Center, is a trust that has been working towards nation building since its inception. Now its founder president, late Shri Prahlad P. Chhabria, he always dreamed that India would become a superpower, a leader, and he firmly believed that you all, the youth of this country, will bring about that change. So, which is why he started educational institutes and focused on research. And today his legacy is being carried forward by his daughter, Aruna Katara. So Hope Foundation, as you know, has two engineering colleges. The first one is the Phenolics Academy of Management and Technology, which is based in Ratnagiri, the first engineering college in rural Ratnagiri. The second is obviously where you all are proudly, I Square IT, and yay, yes. and PPCRC, which is a research center dedicated in the memory of Prahlad P. Chhabria sir. And the whole idea of the research, development, consultancy and collaboration cells, which are set up at both Ratnagiri as well as Pune, is to undertake funded and sponsored research projects, explore consultancy for the corporate world, guide faculty, staff to address issues in research, as well as organize programs to infuse the research culture among students. The Hope Foundation also has a number of charitable activities, initiatives that it conducts, like providing financial assistance to cancer patients, as well as pediatric surgeries, upliftment of rural community, food and essentials drive, NGO investments, medical assistance, especially for eye care, financial assistance to flood victims, and many such activities. One of the unique thing is that Hope Foundation, in association with IEEE, India Council, Women in Engineering, which is the IEEE Pune chapter, has dedicated this 4 very, very distinct awards in the memory of Shri Prahlad P. Chhabria sir. And this is to encourage and to applaud young women who are either in their final year, who are finishing their academics and getting into a corporate world, as well as women who are in their early career to, who have done well for society and for the country. So these awards are being presented in honor of Prahlad P. Chhabria sir. I'd now like to take the honor of briefly introducing the GTT Foundation. Now, the GTT Foundation, formerly known as the Natarajan Education Society, has been established by Dr. Ganesh Natarajan sir, who is the founder and the principal trustee, and Uma ma'am, who is the managing director. The GTT Foundation is a tribute to the unflinching dedication of Ganesh sir's father, the late Shri Ganapati Iyer Natarajan, to bring about some hope and aspiration in rural Jharkhand. Now, GTT Foundation has been established to provide relevant skills and technology-enabled solutions that could transform the communities. Now, the foundation focuses on 4 distinct areas. The first one is, the first one is empowering women for sustainable income generation. The second is career guidance to people with socio-economic challenges, in turn helping transform the rural communities by providing employability solutions. The third is transforming rural communities through employability solutions, and the fourth is identifying and supporting innovation. Now, some of the projects that they have very proudly undertaken is the V-Chimney project, which has helped create digital entrepreneurs through e-com platform portals. The second is the public-private partnership model, which is at play at Anand, Gujarat, that supports women entrepreneurship through skill development. The team also works on empowering the youth through mentoring, training, developing, and providing employment opportunities. I'm sorry, ma'am, you can have a seat. and providing employment opportunities, especially to the underprivileged in our society. The healthcare initiative that the GTT undertakes focuses on providing technical skills to health professionals so they can serve better, as well as creating livelihood opportunities to specially abled citizens. And finally, the NES Innovation Award, of which I2IT has also, our students have participated over the years. Now this is awards over the last 11 years, has been nurturing and encouraging as well as supporting the youth of our country to come forward with innovative ideas. So it's been an honor to introduce Hope Foundation as well as, is there an issue there at the back? Does she have an issue over there at the back? Okay, sorry. So the host, like I said, Aruna ma'am couldn't be here, but we definitely do have Ganesh Natarajan sir, who's the co-host of the Women Prowess, and I'd like to invite Ganesh sir to please address the audience of the 18th Women Prowess, sir. Please, sir.
"18 years is a long time, right? So I think we're all ready to vote, if not anything else. So thank you very much, Vedi, and thank you, Amrita, for inviting us as always. I'll just take a few minutes to give you a context of why we do Women's Prowess. First of all, thank you very much for being here, especially the women and especially the men who are in this room. Guys, you are truly empowered if you come to this session. So thank you. Yeah, give them a hand. So we are meeting in very interesting times. I didn't realize since that till by the he said that we are actually meeting physically after 4 years, because COVID times were the lost era. Of course, we did online last year also, but it's always good to meet face to face and hear some really bright people talking about how women are succeeding in today's world across multiple spheres. And if you look at where we are today, I mean, today India is not in a very good mood at this point of time, for 3 reasons. One is, of course, if any of you follow international news, this ongoing crisis in the Gaza Strip between Hamas and Israel is just going on and on and on, not good for the world at large. The second, of course, is the Uttarakhand tragedy, where we still are hoping that by end of the day, the 41 people who are kind of been trapped by the rubble will eventually be released. Now it's looking much more hopeful than it was maybe 2-3 days back, which is good news. And the third has been the biggest disaster that has come upon us, the World Cup cricket. I must confess, and don't quote me outside, I mean, my Uma and I were in Jaipur 3 days ago, and just as a joke, I told her that, look, it'll be interesting to see if India loses, what happens to this country, you know. I didn't make it happen. I'm as much of an India fan as any of you. But it's actually amazing, you know, to see how much it's almost like a national mourning has been declared or something like that. It's only a game, guys. We'll win the World Cup T20 in June. Don't worry about it. There's always a new day coming up. But in this context, hey guys, please, I need silence. I've been a trainer for a long time, so I'm not going to have people talking to each other. Thank you very much, okay? So it's important to realize that in this context, especially when India is so well positioned, I mean, you all heard, you all seen the might of India in the G20, how well it was conducted, etc., etc. We've all seen that India is an emerging power, okay, not only in things like artificial intelligence and IT. I spent my entire career building companies in information technology. But I think the most important part is that how well we are able to stand up on our own, the economic growth, etc., everything that we are seeing. I think they got worried that they were in the wrong room. Okay, so in this context, where does India go from here? And where do we see ourselves going? I grew up in Jharkhand. I mean, as you heard in that slide, my father was running a factory in a little village called Tatislavai near Jharkhand. And Jharkhand, even today, I mean, today is slightly more progressive, but it is still one of the most backward states in the country, including Bihar. Uttar Pradesh is now going very, very far. But even then, I found that one thing that was happening in Jharkhand, which is happening even today, is there was a strong focus on women's empowerment. Because the Adivasi women of Jharkhand, for instance, are very empowered. Okay, they take a lot of decisions on their own. That's true in Kerala, it's true some parts. Unfortunately, in parts of North India, you still have this very hierarchical, very kind of patriarchal kind of society, and that's what we need to change. And even today, whether we like it or not, all of us, including me, are brought up in family environments where the boy is always treated as better, and etc. And we've got to change it in this country. So throughout the last maybe 20, 30 years, we, when I say we, are companies, whether it's 5F World or GTT or etc., have been out to improve the cause of women. I mean, as a case in point, 5F World itself is an investment company. We've invested in close to 14 companies at this point of time. Out of the 14 companies, 12 have women CEOs. Okay, only 2, unfortunately, have men CEOs. And we're seeing, we're seeing the value of something like that. In fact, 2 of our women CEOs are right here in this room. You'll hear from them, Sriya and Pranati, who are both industry companies of ours, and they do amazing work. So in that context, we have always been reinforced in our feeling that women, given the opportunities and given the capability, can actually outshine men in many respects. So why should we not give them that opportunity? I'll give you just one small incident. Okay, when I grew up at the times of first, it was really initially when I was a child, it was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru who was the Prime Minister, and then it was Indira Gandhi. And I never tire of telling this story. And that time my father used to run this very large social initiative for the Ramakrishna Mission, which was actually called the Ramakrishna Mission Seva Kendra, which was in 6 villages around where we lived. All the village children would come together and we'd sing patriotic songs and milk distribution, etc. And I remember one day the then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, was coming to the city of Ranchi, and the Ramakrishna Mission asked 5 of us, who were all young, in our maybe 8, 9 years old, whether we would sing the invocation song or the welcome song for Mrs. Gandhi. And of course we did that, and the 5 of us singing there. And then next morning my mother said, look, Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister's cavalcade, the cars, are going to pass by the Seva Kendra, which my father had started. So she said, why don't we give it a chance and see whether we can get the Prime Minister of India to visit our Seva Kendra. Now, my mother was an external optimist, as you can imagine. And it was cold. Ranchi can get very cold in winter. But at 7 in the morning, the same 5 of us who had sang the previous day, in the same uniforms, were standing on the road. It's called Purulia Road in Ranchi, and singing. And in the good old days, now of course it's all massive bulletproof BMWs. But in those days, it used to be white ambassadors. So some 40 white ambassadors passed one after the other, 2 ambulances, etc., etc. And then we said, can we now go home because no Prime Minister stopped for us? You'll be surprised. One white car actually turned around after 2 minutes, came back, and the Prime Minister got out of the car and said, aren't you the same children who were singing yesterday? So we said, yes, and my father and mother said, ma'am, you have to come and visit our center. And she actually came and spent 15 minutes in the center. So my belief is that optimism, okay, which I saw in my mother, which of course we saw in Indira Gandhi in the days of the Bangladesh war and so many other things we talk about, is absolutely amazing in women. So which is what we see even today. Today, fortunately, we all heard about the Women's Reservation Bill. Now the cynics will say that the Women's Reservation Bill will get implemented maybe in 6 years from now. The worst cynics will say 11 years from now. It doesn't matter. At least we're taking steps in that direction. And it's not just Indira Gandhi of the past, but today if you look at women in politics, whether it's Smriti Irani, whether it is Supriya Sule, right here from Maharashtra, or Mahua Moitra, who of course is kind of complicated word to say nowadays, but very aggressive, very confident, very successful women, and that's the good news. What we're also seeing, and that's something that I keep talking about, is that women can succeed in all walks of life. Unfortunately today, in fact, in many thanks to COVID, like I also am on the board of an entity called Educate Girls, where we work with young tribal girls in Uttarakhand, in UP, Bihar, MP and Rajasthan. During COVID, naturally all the children in the tribal areas dropped out of school. But do you know that 80% of the girls who dropped out of school in these tribal areas have not gone back to school? Because the families found cheap labor. The families found, oh, here is this 14-year-old girl, she can work in the field, she can work at home, and why do I waste money by sending her back to school? So those are still prevalent today. And these are the things that we are out to change in the tribal areas. Corporate sector, I remember when I came to Pune for the first time in 2001 to become the CEO of what was then a very small company, Zensa, which was 40 crores. When I left, it was 4,000 crores. So we really grew that company. But I still remember, no clap for something else. I'll tell you what to clap for. Okay. And Preeta was my colleague right from that time, 2001, will remember. At that time in the leadership team, or what you call the top management team, we had only one girl. And she was a girl who was the company secretary. And of course, our financial controller for some time was that. All the rest were men. And we said that, look, we've got to change this. Because in the technology sector, many of you from I2IT will realize it as you go out, 55% of entry-level jobs are taken up by girls, by women. But when you go to middle management, it comes down to 22%. When you go to top management, it comes down to 3%. And we all have to ask ourselves the question, what stops women from going all the way to the top? And we set up a group or a mission called Women for Excellence. And we said our goal is to ensure that no girl drops out because of unnecessary reasons, like family pressures, etc., etc. And as all of you know, all women have pressure points when they get married, when they have children, etc., etc. But those are the times when they need guidance. ICICI Bank, under Mrs. Lalita Gupte in the old days, did a fantastic job. So there was a time when 5 of the 6 people reporting to Lalita Gupte were women, okay, and including a lot of very successful people today. So in our own case, we did that. And this is a time to clap, because when I left Zensar, out of 20 people in senior management, 13 were women. Okay? 13. Okay? And it didn't happen by accident. It happened by people recognizing the capability. And I remember we had this extremely bright woman called Pramila Kalive, who actually has spoken in Women's Prowess before. But she became the chief operating officer. Today she's the chief operating officer of Mastec. And even when she joined the company, when she had a 6-month-old child, but in spite of having a child, when an opportunity came for her to go and spend 2 years in San Francisco as our kind of regional head for that area, she just went. And the good part is, the person who showed the most prowess was her husband. Her husband, Shankar, said, don't worry, Pramila, you go and do what you have to do. I will take care of the children. So this is the kind of environment we want to see building in this country. So in the last many years in women's prowess, okay, thanks to the great support of Vaidehi, Aruna, Amrita, everybody in I2IT, we've been able to get these messages across that there are bright women coming up every day, who are doing great work, and we really want each one of you in this room, men and women, to be part of that group who have complete confidence, who can move forward in the world wherever you want to work, and make sure that there is equality of genders and goodwill for all mankind. So thank you very much, and I also look forward to the panel.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that wonderful talk. We'll now move on to the panel discussion, which focuses on leadership in the age of sustainability and hyper-competition. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you the guests of the day. And let's begin with our moderator, Uma ma'am, who is also the chairperson of Global Talent Track. Uma ma'am is an expert in skills, education, and national and international franchising. She has held leadership responsibilities for various forums at MHRD Network, Bombay Management Association, CII, and Indian Women's Network, and writes a regular column in the Financial Express on the subjects of skills, digital, and economy. Ma'am, welcome to the stage. Our first panelist is Ms. Sriya Khandelwal, who is the business head of SkillsAlpha. She has over 18 years of experience in driving quality, process re-engineering, and digital transformation for businesses and delivering value creation strategies. Prior to this role, Shriya was the head of CAIA, which is a Center for Artificial Intelligence and Advanced Analytics, and has worked with large organizations like Infosys and Sensar. She's a passionate person and is very passionate about customer experiences, technology, leadership development, and successful partnerships. She also plays a role of key consultant for engagements with the 5F World and GTT. Sriya Khandelwal ma'am, please on the stage. Thank you so much for coming. The second panelist is architect Pranati Shroff Munot. She's a developer, also a director of Sprout, focusing on environmental impact on built environment, and is a co-founder of Sustain and Save, which is founded in 2020, focusing on circular economy, green products and services. Pranati is a developer with sustainability approach working in the construction sector since 2008, and in the last 15 years, she has handled multiple portfolios such as design, site management and construction. In 2012, she was awarded a scholarship by the Swedish Institute and has received the diploma in sustainability management, and the main focus being CSR, green development and international trade and commerce. Pranati was also invited as a speaker to Sweden multiple times, as well as has represented India at the City Hall in Stockholm in 2022 to talk about sustainable growth and collaboration, addressing the scholarship holders from around the world. Her latest achievements include the Green Leadership Award at the World Forum. She has been working for the last 15 years and has been working on business enhancement and creating businesses from time to time. Pranati ma'am, welcome to the stage. Our third panelist is Srirupa, who is a chartered accountant with more than 2 decades of professional experience in taxation, regulatory domains, with an expertise in international tax, Indian direct tax and exchange control regulations. She has previously worked with MNCs like Ernst & Young, Deloitte, PwC and Airtel. She has advised Fortune 500 companies on taxation regulatory matters, which include cross-border transactions, corporate tax, business restructuring and litigation. She has also assisted in representations various complex tax matters before the Indian tax authorities. So she has been as a panel on various panels and forums like CII, ACMA and others. She is and regularly contributes to leading dailies like Economic Times and Financial Express. Please put your hands together and welcome Srirupa ma'am to the dais. And with that, I yield the floor to Uma ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Vaidi. As always, you make it very comfortable and exciting to be here for this session. Of course, we're missing Aruna ma'am this afternoon. We have a very long relationship with I2IT, GDB Foundation, and I2IT have been co-hosting this event for several years. Yes, I'm sure Aruna will be also, her mind will be here, her thoughts will be here. So we want to recognize her own excitement and her own inspiration to do this event year on year. And we will try and see what we can get out of today's event also. In today's event, we have some illustrious speakers whose introductions you have just heard. Before we get started, I just want to make one request. I keep hearing some murmurs in the middle of the audience. If it's something very important, may I request you to just step out, complete your conversation and come back. Or else, I request all of you to maintain silence for the next 60 minutes and listen to our speakers who have taken time out from their busy schedules to be amidst us. And I'm sure when you hear them speak, you would go away with some wonderful ideas and huge inspiration, which might give you further ideas as to how you want to shape your own careers. Thank you very much. So, let's get started. Today's theme is leadership in the age of sustainability and hyper competition. The word leadership, many of you may be thinking that leadership means Mr. Modi is the Prime Minister, or we have CEOs who are leaders, and then of course we hear about various others who are leaders, or let's say our Indian captain, he is a leader. So those are the names that might be coming to your mind as come out. Those are the names that might come to your mind as those who have been able to achieve certain accomplishments, and they have stood out as leaders. But to get there, they have done a lot of hard work. And to sustain that sort of a position of leadership, individually and as an organization, they have done some phenomenal work. Especially when there is constantly competition coming in, and as we saw in the recent cricket match, where we thought we've understood competition, competition came in a completely different format, different colors altogether, and somehow on that day we were stumped. But this is the reality of a life. Whether we are individuals or whether we are running organizations, leadership means you have to be on a treadmill all the time. So in order to sustain that leadership, in order to deal with competition, you got to have some sort of a unique thought process, you got to be distinctive, and you need to bring in new ideas, new technologies, and keep learning from the best of the best. So if that is how leadership has survived over the years, and organizations have survived because of successive leaders, we are now talking about what is that success mantra which has enabled some organizations to stay competitive and remain the top choice of customers in the categories that they are currently involved with or have been always involved with. Whether it is banks, for instance, you have banks like Citibank, or in the domestic market you have State Bank, HDFC Bank. They have continued to do certain things in the right manner so that they have remained successful. Similarly, we can talk about individuals who have done different things at different phases of their life, because of which they continue to remain as leaders in our minds. So in the next few minutes, what we are going to do is converse with 3 leaders here, and we are going to pose questions to them in the first round to understand their thoughts on what has been the primary reason, or what have been the primary, maybe there is more than one reason, because of which they have been able to become successful and remain successful. What we call sustained leadership is something that they have been able to demonstrate from time to time, despite different shades of competition they have seen around them. Especially as women, there are all kinds of competition coming in from all directions. First, they need to compete with men. Next, not next, necessarily in that order, but I'm just going to call out a few dimensions of competition they need to face day in and day out. Their time, there is competition for their time from their family as well as from the workplace. They also see competition from other women, smart women like them. And in today's context, many organizations also feel that if you're in the 40s or 50s, why don't I find somebody younger to take on your job, maybe another woman or a male? And therefore, there is competition from those quarters as well. So like this, women are facing multitudes of competition, and still they are, here we have 3 successful women who have been able to demonstrate that they are not only successful, but they have become role models for others. So let me get started by requesting Srirupa to talk about what has really been her story for successful leadership, and how do you see yourself, Srirupa, dealing with other strands of competition and other challenges that are coming ahead of you. So over to you for your thoughts on leadership.
Am I audible to everyone? Many thanks for having us here, and it's so lovely to see all of you an extreme pleasure to see the young people over here coming up and, paying attention to what further they can do. All of you over here are already leaders to my mind. So thank you for being here. And Uma, to your questions as to what the story has been and what the leadership currently, we see the role of leadership. So I think in terms of the story, I come from a relatively, smaller town, Lucknow. I grew up over there and then stepped into the bigger towns of Delhi and Mumbai. And I'm talking about, this is 2 decades ago, right, where development was very, very low in those phases 20 years ago. Now, challenges of not only being a woman, but also coming from a smaller town and then transitioning into the bigger world. I guess many of you also are, can relate to that. Some of the stories that I can share with you, when I had stepped into the professional world, and I am a chartered accountant by profession, from Lucknow to Delhi, when I had transitioned and I was getting interviewed over there, the whole intimidation factor that came in of talking to people who were much more polished, who were carrying themselves much more in a polished manner, was something that I could only break through in phases. So if you see me over here as a successful professional, it has taken time. So to my take, what has transitioned, it's the perseverance, I would say, and something that I could really relate to this story, that you don't have to leave anything, just because you're not successful in one attempt or second attempt. Those are experiences. So persevere with whatever your aspiration is. And second thing, I enjoy what I do. So while I'm talking to you, I can relate to so many people right here. I can see my face over there, sitting. I was also kind of part of there. And I'm sure, if you enjoy what you do, if you persevere in what you do, you will be definitely go where you want to reach.
Thank you, Srirupa. You really made a great point on perseverance and how that has really helped you build your career, and you have gone from strength to strength, and you have created a unique identity for yourself. So it was wonderful to hear that. I'm going to come back to you with some other follow-up questions. But now I'm going to move on to Pranati. You have chosen to, again, be a successful leader and entrepreneur, choosing a field which is fairly new, and not many people would even be aware of what is this sustainability to do with business. I don't know how many of you are aware about this. United Nations has adopted sustainability as one of its goals. And today, sustainability is something that organizations have to address in the way they do business, in the way they manage their business, in the way they have to connect with the communities that they work with. So that is what sustainability is all about. Other than that, we also hear about how you can work with organic products. Is that sustainability? So there are all kind of myths and misconceptions, and in that context, you have chosen to build a completely new venture and create a unique identity for yourself, where you want to be a leader. You're already a leader, you want to be even more successful with that venture. So over to you, Pranati, to share with us your thoughts on your journey, and how do you see yourself taking on this opportunity and becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Thank you. Thank you, Uma ma'am. Actually, yeah. Let me just begin. She started with a small thought where she spoke about consistency. I did my graduation way back in 2000. Hello. Yeah, this is like. I started my journey way back in 2007 when I graduated from architecture. While I was in my final year, I knew I wanted to do something that was different. And I also chose my dissertation, as we call it, to do with sustainability, which is fairly new then, and it's still, I would say the last 4 years have seen a transition, but back then it was quite different. 2007, when I went and told my father, I want to pursue something which is beyond construction. I am an architect. I don't want to do a conventional job. I don't want to do my master's, because all my friends after a bachelor's in architecture decided to do a master's in architecture. I said I will try and figure out what I want to do. I remember in 2009, my father walks in home and says, guess what people of your age are doing? They're doing far better. They are achievers, and women can do this, women can do that. He's been a very supportive father, I would say. He was very passionate. We're two sisters, and he would push us at every edge. He was like, go achieve it. He's like a hard push. He tells me, I go meet this lady, I become friends with her, I try and understand, and she was trying to do something in sustainability, and that's why we were introduced. She gave me a bright idea of why not, together I would have to go to Dubai to clear my first exam in sustainability, because back then there was no exam that you could clear to, achieve any degree or any course. I told my father, if I clear that, you pay for the ticket, or then I pay for the ticket. So that was the clause. So I had this little saving, and he said, fair. I wasn't sure if I'll clear it, because it was like a 1 in 100 chance. You had to get a 180 on 200 to be eligible. And I cleared that in Dubai, and that evening thank you. That evening I asked this friend of mine, we were over dinner and we congratulated both of us, and I asked her what's her age. She was only 20 years older than me. And, so that was the difference in that age. She was young at heart. She's the principal of a college. But the point here is that if you decide you want to do something, you can do it. And you need to keep believing that you want to do something that is, innovative, different, wanting to achieve something. And I think right from college days, you need to have an idea. You need to keep thinking. You need to just, while you are learning from your peers, there's so much so simple things like, when you talk to your friends, when you talk to your peers, when you look around, when you attend these sessions, there are so many thoughts. And if you take back one thought that you think you believe in, I think, you've started a beginning to a journey towards leadership, a journey towards making impact. Later, in 2012 is when I formed our first company, where I told my friends I'm not going to go for my conventional, of course I'm still a part of the conventional construction industry, which is a hardcore a man-driven industry. Today, in 2022-23, I know of one women developer in the brand, like in the entire streamline. And then in 2012-13, we were like 3 developers in the country who were women. So I remember walking into corporation and my father saying that, why don't you go check this out? I came back home crying. I'm not doing this. I'm not climbing those stairs where I have to beg. But he didn't give up. He said, go achieve it. Today, I walk in with my entire developer and entire sustainability story, and trust me, I can walk into the commissioner's office and he would respect what I say. I have, so no more does my father actually go into the commissioner's office to get sanctions or to multiple tables that I don't know if any of you all know how the construction industry works. It's quite an interesting sector to work in for a woman and a man. Like, I think both equal there. Whoever it is, it's very interesting. So these are small things that taught me in my early years that, you need to be consistent. With that, another very important thing that I think is that don't give up on your idea. When I began in 2012, my own friends said, why are you doing this? And I remember when I could go to my friends and say that, give me a project, can you help me? None of them gave me a project. None. And until 2013, when I was at a coffee shop, I heard a conversation. So I really wanted my first project in 2012-13, and I wasn't getting one. And when I was at a coffee shop right next to our office, I overheard a conversation from a big multinational company where they were looking for a sustainability consultant. And I said, I can help. I just said, can you give me a chance? And my first project was a L'Oreal factory. So I did the sustainability, entire roadmap for a L'Oreal factory as, an opportunity that I got. Since then, there has been no looking back into this world of sustainability. And to my analysis, every day is a challenge. Until 2019, we actually looked at, I was passionate, I didn't give up, and we looked at every project that came in was, very interesting, and we looked at it that, we're going to make it, and 2020 saw a turnaround. So while lockdown has been very interesting for different people, 2020 was the year where all of us started speaking about sustainability, where every individual, the government, everybody just spoke. And trust me, today, with God's grace, we are a private limited, and we're looking at, if everybody's support and things. I hope in the next 10 years, we'll aim for an IPO. So that's the transition that we are hoping and, wishing to be in the field of sustainability. What do we do? And what do we do? So what is sustainability? So very often the question here is, what is sustainability? And how many of you all have heard of something called the Life Mission by Modi ji? Anybody here in this room who've heard of a life mission? How many of you all have heard of, so nobody? All of us have Google. I'm going to give you a small one-liner, but do check what is life. Life Mission by Modi ji, where you will be given credits for going sustainable. Imagine if you you didn't use this plastic bottle to drink water and you tweeted. If you tweeted, hello? Yeah. Imagine if you tweeted and you put up a picture saying that I have not used a plastic bottle and I've carried my own bottle, and you get credits for it, which you can trade in the market, or you can trade to get points, and you can eventually redeem it for another product. So it's like a big bazaar points. That's what is the Life Mission all about. In the next 2 to 3 years, it will be all out to talk about sustainable products and services that can actually get you bonuses and looking for a more sustainable lifestyle. So that's what Life Mission is all about. And we'll all be forced to go. So I'm not going to go into, unless that question pops to me as why is sustainability required and all that. But that's where the whole sustainability story is actually heading. The government is forcing it, the corporate world is forcing it. The entire, you say the universe conspires and it's happening. And the universe needs it. I think more than anything, it's needed for the universe, and that's where we are headed to now. And I'm in that space of sustainability. Thank you.
What an exciting journey that you have chosen to be part of. Rather, you have initiated the story. You have been a pioneer in this space. And because of your perseverance and your confidence and self-belief that tomorrow is going to be bright, you withstood all the constraints, all the challenges that came your way, Pranati. And today you are sitting in on this chair, brimming with confidence, and going to create yet another story, which I think we are all going to be looking forward to hearing and observing you in the coming days. I'm going to come back to you more about sustainability, business and how you're chalking out your plans, if you have the time. But now we will move on to Shriya. Shriya, you have been working in the area of artificial intelligence and digital learning. You're trying to create unique experience for learners, not just in terms of the learning process, but in terms of career management process. And your journey has been, again, very interesting when every organization today is saying, I need to have AI, because if I don't have AI or digital transformation happening, there is no tomorrow. While this is what many organizations are saying, or believing, or they are trying to put in place initiatives around these, as far as you're concerned, you have not really started off your career at a time when people or the world talked much about AI, but yet you traversed through different strands and you experienced different, you can say, journeys with different avatars in different organizations. And today you are in a position where you are able to influence organizations and students with the kind of product that you are building. So can you talk about your own story and talk about how you see this whole world of AI, how it is going to be impacting students and a life ahead? And how do you think young students are required to think about how they can remain competitive in this kind of a complex space that we are getting into?
Thank you, Uma. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah,
Everyone is
yeah.
able to hear me. Yeah. So, a very interesting question. And I just would want to just say a couple of things here. But the first thing which I would want to say here is, how many of us have OnePlus phones here? And what's the tagline of OnePlus? Never settle. Never settle. So that's probably the first thing you should actually think of. You can't settle. If you are looking to kind of move ahead, to kind of move from one yeah, if you're planning to move ahead and you're planning to move from one level to the other, then that's the first thing you should actually think of. You can't afford to settle. And like Uma said, the way when I started off my career, I was one amongst you, fresh engineer from a college, not really sure about what I want to do, but like I had dreams. I had simple dreams, and I had unachievable dreams. And I wanted to actually see that I am able to fulfill each and every one of them. One of my dreams was, yes, I want to travel, I want to see the world, right? And I am in the area where technology and those days was kind of a guaranteed ticket to take you to probably any place in the world, because you work with a technological company, and then you're working on a offshore development project, and very soon they'll send you on site. So most of the companies which I had joined in the beginning was with the intention that, yes, I want to see the world, I want to work well, I want to do well in most of the projects that I'm associated with, and yes, that's probably what's going to take me overseas. And did I live my dream? Yes, I did. I actually was working, I started my career off as, again, in the training and development arena, and again, I moved to quality assurance, process assurance, business process consulting, and I moved from quality assurance to process consulting, and then I said that, fine, let me take a leap further. So let's see how I can explore and understand where my skills take me. So if you actually see how my career journey has spanned out, it's been very simple. I have focused on my skills. I have focused on developing my skills, and then I have moved from one project to the other. So especially if you are in the technical area, you have to see as youngsters that you initially start off on a clean slate, on a frame where you understand that this is what I have to excel in. And after that, you move, you start adapting, you start adopting, and you take on more and more knowledge related to various other technologies that you would want to learn, and then move from one frame to the other. And that's precisely what I did. So when I joined Zensar in my early days, I was working with Zensar as a quality assurance professional. And while I was working with Zensar, I had the opportunity to work on multiple projects. Now, if you know what quality assurance is and what technical coding is, it's kind of different. But I really enjoyed my work. But I was in the search of something more. I was in the search of learning something more, in discovering what my true potential is. And in that respect, I said that fine, let me look at something little more and above and beyond quality assurance consulting, and let's look at process consulting. So that was an era which was a very different era. We didn't have AI at that point of time. We had more of certifications, very process-bound projects delivered. So we had CMMI, we had ISO. So I was absolutely in it. But now, after I kind of moved on towards the process consulting arena, and I said that fine, I have started a family, I need to kind of give some time at home. I took a small break, and then I said that fine, I'll revisit the industry, the software industry again. And when I come back, what do I see? I see that the number of years have just gone by, technology has changed, the way people perceive technology has changed, and I have to do something radically different. I have to learn, I have to grow, and in that respect, it was very important for me to understand what AI is. Because I am an engineering graduate and I have a love for mathematics, I took it on myself to understand AI before I actually start talking about AI as a business leader to students and to corporates. And that's the reason why I feel hard work, perseverance is extremely essential. When everyone is telling you that you need to know something, you have to understand that the knowledge of that particular topic which you are going to excel in as a leader has to be absolutely there. Because today or tomorrow, you will be talking to industry experts. And when you as a woman, it doesn't matter. For me, I belong to a Bengali household, so for me it's like, it doesn't matter whether you're a woman, you're a lady, or you're a male. For us, we have been brought up in a way where we are very fierce, and fearlessly we are told to speak our minds. So when I have to talk to a business leader who is in the industry, I have to speak my mind, I have to project the knowledge, and the only way to get there is to have the technical expertise to do a complete read-up of the subject matter to an extent that you are able to speak about it confidently as a leader. So, you have to understand that as a woman, we have to, on time-to-time basis, we have to deal with something which you called as, a kind of a condescending contempt amongst an audience which we are dealing with, but don't let that get you. Because if someone is telling you that you are about to be there and you are to get there, you have to basically make sure that you have the enough integrity, the knowledge to take you there. And my involvement with students has been there from the very beginning. And when I'm building a product, on SkillsAlpha, my sole objective is to see that the people who benefit from that product are able to understand AI in a much more simplistic term, and they are able to, implement the knowledge whenever they choose to move out to the industry and work in any company that, they are associated with, whether it's a student or it's an organizational employee, all of that. So that's how I probably, see that as AI leaders, you need to be extremely competent, you need to be extremely focused, and you can't settle. Because you have AI today, you have generative AI next, and God knows what after that. So you can't just settle. That's what it is.
Thank you, Shriya. That was a nice tagline. You have not settled, and we can't afford to settle. That's a message that I get from what you spoke. And yes, learning and ongoing and continuous learning is a necessity in all our walks of life. And I'm sure
Srirupa would agree to that, especially in your profession, Srirupa. Every day there are new, new policies, new laws that come along the way. So you are going to be keeping your eyes and ears open all the time. But when you're being thrown so much of information, how do you pick and choose what is relevant for you? And how do you learn in such a way that when, as a partner, you are meeting with the CEOs and CXOs of organizations, you have to be able to answer their queries on the spot. So it must be quite complex given the nature of diverse information and knowledge that you have to keep absorbing from time to time. Can you please share your learnings on how to learn that you must have mastered?
Is it good?
Yeah.
It has to be a very structured way of learning for all of us. So 2-3 principles that I apply. One, the area that I am supposed to be an expertise, that I can't afford to miss out. So every day there's a 1 hour reserve.
Excuse me, please. Can you please keep your thoughts with you for a while? And let's listen to Srirupa. Thank you.
Yeah, so every day there is a time allotted where so I get up early in the morning, say 5 to 6:30 is the time when I do my readings, right? And that consists part of it of my expertise area, which I do taxes, so I read about that, whatever developments happen. Second part that I do, which is the business peripherals, because I need to interact with professionals who do other things than tax, right? So, covering that part. And one part I do the spiritual part also, which actually makes me do the part in terms of my own professional readings, etc. It makes me easy, it makes me realize why I want to pursue further. So I think it needs to be a very, very structured and dedicated time that you need to devote in terms of your learning. In today's date, if you're behind knowledge, because all of us, if you see, most of us will be in service industries as we see, right? And in services, what do you sell? You sell yourself. And when you sell yourself, you have to be in that zone where you are able to project your knowledge, where you are able to project yourself. So while you may have confidence, it will carry you only a while. Expertise without expertise, it doesn't sustain at all. So that is something that we have to maintain lifelong, that learning has to happen.
Thank you, Srirupa. Wonderfully put. Pranati, I want to ask you a slightly different question. This is about how do you, as a woman, you have chosen to be in a field which is unique, which is distinctive, and perhaps not many, forget about women, even men are in this field. But very often you would have to hire people, a lot of them may be males, and you would have to interact with male officers, whether it's in the government or in the corporates. How have you dealt with the dynamics? Have you ever felt that you are being assessed as a woman or you are being assessed as a professional? What has been the primary thing that has jumped up during all of these conversations?
I think that's a very interesting question because I'm proud to be a woman. I think it's not so. A very interesting story. When I was taking admission, I'm from a girls' school, so all girls' school in Pune, and then I was asked if I was eligible to get admission in any college. Fortunately, with God's grace, I had the marks to get admission in any college, and I entered a all-women's college. I walked in there for 8 days, and I still remember I said, I'm not going to continue. I was lucky. put down that offer of all-girls college. I don't want to name it because all of us would know the college. So I was in an all-girls college, and I said, well, I'm going to go to a co-ed college. And everybody was surprised because it was then the best, among the top 3. I said, no, I'm okay, but I'm not going to all girls. And I think that was my first step where I said, that standing up to my decision that I'm going to be equal. I'm not going to be categorized as different. So I think that's where I first took that step that we're equal, we're going to fight the battles, and we're going to make it there. So that was my first thought. In my journey as being, a woman, I think we have privileges and we have problems. If you look at it as a privilege, and if you walk into, so I walk into the government office almost once a week, and I'll share a small story again, which I don't know if any of you all know, but we had a commissioner called Kunal Kumar. Now he is in the PMO office. And I had a 6-month-old baby. So it was a similar panel in Mumbai, and I was in Mumbai for a panel, and I was on the stage. I walked down, and so he was also there. I walked down, and he says, you're from Pune, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, can you come and meet me tomorrow? I said, okay. This is about 10, 12 years, 9, 10 years back. I said, okay. And I went next day. I entered his office, and I had to wait for like 30 minutes. I said, sir, I'm okay to come every day, but I have a condition. I have a 6-month-old child, and I don't think I can wait. We have been working on the Smart City project since then, and I have been associated with multiple projects with the government. Trust me, I don't have to wait. So that's the power of being a woman. And I still remember if he knew that I'm waiting outside, he would message me, Pranati, 5 minutes de de. Like literally a commissioner telling you that. But I would say, sir, sab kaam karungi. I will do everything that you want me to do. I will deliver on time. Don't worry about that. And it'll be done. So I think that's the power of a woman. Looking at hiring and firing, or how you look at the whole men, women, I think men are great to work with. They have different skill sets, and women have different skill sets, and they complement each other, just like a husband and wife. So each one, so every time you hire a man or so I never look at it differently. I look at it as something that will add value to my system, something that so I never look at, so we have a male CEO or we have multiple employees. I think I remember even when I represent CREDI. So CREDI is an organization which is for the developers of the country. It is, as I mentioned earlier, it's an all men's organization. When I represent CREDI, very often I'm the only woman with 10 men sitting up, and I think it's fine. As long as you know your content well, you know what you are representing, you, of course, have to be on your toes. There is no option to hard work, definitely, and a lot of sacrifices. I think that's also, you need to make your choices right. So if you as women know your choices, you know what you want to achieve in life, and if you believe you're equal, I don't think there is something like that disparity. And just have confidence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. So once again, it is the confidence and clarity which, along with some sacrifices you said, that has really been the reason for success. So I know that we have only about 15 minutes left. By Dehi? 20 minutes. All right. So then maybe we can go with another couple of questions for the panelists. And then please keep your questions ready. We will come to you in a while. So we heard Pranati talk about sacrifices or compromises. So, Shriya, I would like to hear from you for the benefit of our audience here. In order to be a successful leader, you have to do your best, the very best, especially when you're part of the corporate world, where there is a lot of competition. If you're not there every day and deliver every day, there is going to be a challenge in terms of how you're going to be viewed and how you get ahead in your career. At the same time, I know all of us here are mothers, and we have had our share of compromises, you may call it, or you can say sacrifices. You have also had, you have a daughter who is doing extremely well. You're so proud of her. Like mother, like daughter, she is a shining star in the field of AI. And you've had your share of having to attend to her and attend to your family and also attend to work. So how did you, I know you took a little bit of a break in between, but despite that, before and after, you would have had to make tremendous adjustments. How did you cope with the requirements at work and requirements at home, what we call the work-life balance? Was there one?
Thank you. Thanks for the question. That's a little one. Yeah. So, if what comes with the work-life balance, and sometimes I feel a little sad to see that sometimes women expect that, yeah, I need that extra benefit because I am a working mother. I mean, my question is, if as a working mother you have a support system which enables you to take care of your child, and you come from, I come from a Bengali household, like I said, and I have, I mean, we have a strong lineage of engineers and lawyers in the family, So when I started working, and especially when I was working with Infosys, and I have pretty much traveled all continents while I was working with Infosys, and these consulting engagements, one could never predict. They would be, for a shorter period of time, they would be for a long period of time. And my daughter was, she was about 2.5, 3 years old. But I had my parents who were constantly there to, take care of her. And while I was at work, I was at peace that she was, she was in good hands, and I would give my complete, dedicated service, like you could say, to work, and not only on working, but also on upskilling myself. When I was away for longer assignments, I would try to see that if I could bring my daughter with me to the country where I was working on this assignment with, she would get the experience of probably at a very young age of a different culture, of seeing a different neighborhood, and that really helped, because the kind of balance my support system was able to build for me helped me build that work-life balance. At the same time, it's very important, especially when, as a mother who's bringing up a young daughter, so she is able to see a dedicated mother, a person who is committed to the work, so that she is able to, get that seed of commitment at a very young age. Today, if I feel that my daughter is successfully working, and she is able to give her 100% at work, is because she's been also able to see her mother give her 100% at work, and she's also been able to see her mother successful by doing that. So there have been sacrifices, like Pranati had said, and there have been successes, and I've seen success, I've seen failures, but all of that is sweetened, especially when you have your child whom you can share your experiences with. And your child, when she is setting out on a corporate life, she doesn't start life from a scratch. She learns from your experiences, and she basically takes her best step and best foot forward. So in terms of work-life balance, yes, I am pretty much of a workaholic, so I really like putting in a lot of my time at work, but I enjoy what I do. So, I like to immerse myself into the project that I am working on. If it's product building, and if there is the nth level of technological thing which I have to really get into, I will get into that. Because probably that's in my nature, and I will not leave it, okay, my team will handle it. I'll see that they're stuck somewhere. As a leader, it's my duty to get there and see that issue is resolved. I would, at that point of time, work-life balance goes out of the window, honestly. I actually have to get there, get my hands and feet dirty, do it, deliver it, and then enjoy the successful delivery of that particular project. And that's probably what's worked for me in the past. And in future, I am ready to become a learner at the word go if I have to. So one has to be completely fearless, and that is the kind of example we have to put forward to our children. That it's okay. You have to take things as they come, and you have to learn from them, and you have to be fearless in kind of dealing with any aspect of life. So that's my message to each and every young person out here, lady or man. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So Shriya, what you say is so true, that if you're passionate, if you're excited, and if you enjoy what you're doing, this question of work-life balance doesn't come in. It is only a question of what you need to prioritize at what point of time. I'm reminded of a situation where our daughter was getting ready to give her 10th examination. And, just after 10th exam, just before the board exams, they give you, I think, a couple of weeks to study. Both Ganesh and I, we had enrolled for PhD program at that time at IIT. And we had to do our submissions, and then we had to do our work-related travel. So there was no question of going out as a family on a holiday after her exams got over. So we hit upon an idea. We said, let's go to Goa during her study holidays. And during the time, that 1 week we spent in Goa, in the mornings we would be all sitting in our bedroom doing our homework or studying, whatever. And then in the afternoon we'll go down to the beach, relax for 2 hours, come back again and do our work. So that 1 week is a very memorable time that we spent together. Yet we were busy doing whatever were our respective priorities related to our work or academics. So that's how I think women who really enjoy, like Shreya, like all our leaders here, have learned to prioritize. So in this context, and that's why I think corporates and employers love to hire women, because they are happy to be doing work, whether it is in the office or so-called after office. And many organizations have today's stated objective that they would like to have 40% women, 50% women in their workforce. Despite that, I would like to know, Srirupa, from you, when employers are looking at women, they are of course looking at their capabilities like you spoke about earlier, not only how they project themselves, but at different stages of your life, you got to have different identity, and you build in different ways distinctiveness in yourself. For you, was it a very planned approach, or it just happened? I'm sure a lot of people here would be envious of where you have reached, the pinnacle of your career as a partner of such a large, reputed multinational organization. To get there, you have done something which is unique to build your own profile, your own, you can say, identity. How have you done it as a woman? Are there any tips that you would like to share with everybody here?
Sure. When I look back my career journey, one thing that I think I did well was reading of people. So, for example, I'll share a story. So my first job, and I came from Lucknow to Delhi. And in Delhi, my boss was from Rajasthan. So he must have also, been in Rajasthan in those areas, and from a very remote area. And my boss, when he would talk to me, he wouldn't look at me. So can you imagine, someone is telling you what to do, and he's looking like this, I'm telling you. You can imagine what his thought process would be if he can't look at me and he would give me photocopy भी ले आओ ये I mean as trivial work as that. So what did I do in that stage? I knew I had to break that stereotype in his mind somehow. So what I did was I used to sit late. You know, even if he would give me, you know, I didn't have work, just to break his mindset, I would still sit until he went home. So gradually, you know, because he saw me sitting outside his cabin, you know, he started giving me work. And that's the way, you know, I built that rapport, built that confidence that, no, it's work. You know, it's not about a male and female being there, you know. So, you know, I think for me, situationally dealing and seeing what the other, reading the expectation of the other person, reading the expectation of the situation worked for me.
Okay, wonderful. Pranati, in your context, since you have been your own boss for pretty much a very long time, how do you set an example to others in the organization? Do you find that to be challenging, firstly as a woman, and secondly as a lady boss?
So I'm just going to tweet it here a little. I think entrepreneurship here is not always about, so, you know, being CEOs, being leaders. I think every person is a leader. And every individual has the capacity to be a leader. And it doesn't necessarily be, you know, I was at a forum about a month back, and we were having a discussion. And while I was discussing this, I thought, and we were just, you know, on it, every human being, so I think everybody is a leader in their own space. Everybody has the capacity to be a leader. Your question here is that, you know, how do I deal with being a leader? With leadership comes responsibility. I say, you know, we first have to be very responsible. Second, you cannot give excuses. Leaders can't give excuses. You got to do what you got to do. So we can't give excuses, or we can't say, I'll do it tomorrow. Not happening. So I think that's another quality that a leader must have. The third quality that I think that's very important is that keep your calm. You know, very often I lose it. I'm not denying that. But you got to go back and, you know, make up for your own stuff. So I think keep your calm, think holistic. You can't think small. So a leader always thinks big, thinks out of the box. So I think that's another quality. And how do I deal with it? I'll share what I do. I begin my day and I'm in the office at 8:30. I have 2 children who are 5 and 7. I drop them to school and I'm in office before anybody and everybody. So I think that is one thing that is like a great. So initially I used to go, you know, by 10:30, and I realized it wasn't the way they should look at me. Maybe I was casual. You learn through experience. You learn through the way you do business. It also is how you look at business. So initially I worked for passion. Now I work for multiple things. I work for passion. I work for money, because that's very funny, you know. Very often we say, why do we work? What is a leader's role? Is it only about passion? Well, no. We all work for a cause. So it's beyond everything. I also work for multiple other things. And those goals I've defined very clearly. I have my task list very clear. So I think most importantly, being there on time, I think that makes a lot of impact. As a leader, your question was, how do I look at it? And I do so we have these brainstorming Thursday sessions, which are icebreakers. So which I actually, you know, interact with all of them, and each Thursday, each one has to share a story. So I think through these experiences, you kind of create a lot of icebreaker exercises as leaders. And most importantly, as leaders, you need to trust your people. I think you need to believe that they're a team. You can't just, you know, it can't be all about you. So it's got to be all about a team. And I think that's what leadership is all about.
Okay, great. So, on that note, I would like to now throw open any questions from anybody? You can direct the question to a specific speaker or to the panel. Would be happy to field the questions now.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please, go for it.
Okay, so my question is, have any one of you, including you, Uma ma'am, had doubts of choosing between the career and a personal choice? Like you said, you took your family, went to Goa. Or at any point of time, did you all feel I'm neglecting my family or I'm neglecting my work? Or because from what I was hearing, everyone had good support system. So did you all have any doubts at any point of time that am I making the right decision by focusing on my career? Anybody?
I'd like to just answer this question and request the panelists to also speak. I think the starting point is, at least for many of us women, we do not have a support system. We have to create one, and that gets created along the way. No blueprint ever works. So if we are determined that career is something that you're focused upon, support system will automatically fall in place. And I recall when I was passing out of FMS, I appeared for various interviews, and this is way back in 1981. Every interview, and these were large multinational organizations and banks, every interviewer, without exception, would ask one question which always was there in my mind throughout my life. And that question was, you are a woman, what if we were to hire you and within no time you get married and you give up your job when your children come along the way? Would you not be, would we have actually sacrificed this job to you instead of giving it to a male colleague? This was a question, more or less on similar lines, I was asked in every interview. So for me, that whatever challenge I faced throughout, that question keep popping up, and I had to look at myself in my mirror and ask myself, I told that interviewer, I'm not going to give up. How can I give up? And somehow the help came along. Pranati, you want to say something?
I think, when do we doubt ourselves, So, very often, like, my children are still small. I think most of them, I don't know about the rest, but mine are 5 and 7. When I'm taking up a big role, I believe, in the last 6 months. I've been working beyond my capacity. I start my day at 5. And one day, I was driving with my 2 children. And, it was a day when we were all, I had come home at 7:30, and I was said, jaldi chalo, apne ko birthday party, like that, packing them up and taking them to a birthday party, kind of a regular thing. And, I realized they were like, what the hell is happening? Why have you been so, on your toes? And I realized while I was driving back home, and I asked them, Mom's going to take up a big role. Would you support? A 7-year-old knows what their parent is doing. And they stand up, and I can never forget that. He stands up and says, Mom, go for it.
So sweet.
So I think your support system is built by what you believe in. And I think that's very important. Thank you.
Shreya?
Yes. So the question was that at any point of time, have we ever felt guilty, right? Doubtful. So it's, but the answer to this question is yes. There have been times. There have been times when you feel a little guilty for not attending that extra function or
Put it close to your...
Yeah. So there have been times when you feel a little guilty about not having attended that function, but then, like, as parents, you have to make up for it, right? So you have to understand that, yes, okay, if I was not able to give that amount of time at that point of time, I do something to make up for it. And you make up for it You make your child, like Pranati said, you make them understand the importance of the work that you do. And you know how important it is for you to be available at that point of time, at that particular place, to deliver the particular work which you are, hoping to accomplish. And your child understands, and they do understand, and they do remember it, and they are also proud of it. That's what I would say. So.
Any other question? We have time for 2 last questions. Yes, please.
My question goes to what Mr. Saxena has said. So you spoke about that, taking out that one dedicated hour for making ourselves updated in that particular area and develop that expertise. Okay, so the similarly what I have heard from you also, Shriya ma'am. So my question is, we or maybe our generation have that thing that yes, I need to read and get myself updated. Now it is the era of ChatGPT. So in this era where everything is ready, available, instant noodles, it is kind of it. How, I want you to motivate our students present over here that why this taking out 1 hour reading and updating yourself is so important rather than relying on ChatGPT or any other AI.
That's a great booty for you.
Yeah.
Even for using ChatGPT effectively.
Yes, switch it off.
Hello.
So as I mentioned, even to use ChatGPT, you will need to know what to ask, right? And honestly, it is good to get structured responses, right? But how do you apply? So part of reading is also applying it, right? So you may not read it and take a very structured response from ChatGPT, but even that reading, if you're, for example, you want to read about AI, right? You ask ChatGPT, but you're reading that, right? So I don't think ChatGPT replaces the need for reading, right? Absolutely. And when you read something with interest, right? Curiosity as to why it is relevant. And for my part, I can tell you, I first think of situations where I can apply whatever I'm reading. So when I do that reading, I'm able to comprehend as much more than if I would just read for the sake of reading. So if you put it in a practical situation and then read, I think you learn much more.
I'll just add to that. I'm a mother who believes no television for my children, until. And then I met somebody very senior from the industry who's about 80. And he said, why are you denying it? Why are you not, walking with the world or working with the world? As students all here, they are blessed with loads of information. They're overloaded with information. I think all of you all agree that जो चाहिए मिल जाएगा, बस teacher ने बोलना है 2 minutes में हो जाएगा types, That's available. You guys have an opportunity to be smart. You need to use it to your advantage with the right application. So even ChatGPT, like AI, needs plugins. Do you all know about that? Yeah, so I'm sure, you all know that you need to have plugins. Use the right plugins to answer the right questions. So I think it's not wrong, but and don't look at it just like another piece. Try and see if it can be of use. So that's something is, use the information to your advantage and apply it right. I think that's what we have to do now. We can't run away from technology.
One last question, and then over to you. Yes. Yes, please. Introduce yourself and ask.
Has anybody been looked down by a man? That's the question, right?
Anybody wants to? You want to answer that question?
No, I can. Well, it's normal. It's normal. Don't take it otherwise. There are, you know, you don't even have to go beyond your comfort zone to be looked down. So it's normal to be looked down. It's how you look at it. So it's normal for somebody, even in your own system, to look down at you because you're a woman. If you look at it as you're being put down, because it's happened to me many times. As much as I talk about positive stories, there are negative stories also in this whole system of growing up. So it happens, it's just you need to go back and take a deep breath and say, boss, mera bhi din aayega. So I think that's how I'll put it.
No, so in terms of being looked down by a man, I don't think, that's ever happened to me, probably because of the way I look also. So, so it's not that, but in other terms, what I would say is that you have to look at the opportunity which any particular situation is giving you, right? So why put yourself in a position where you have to be looked down upon? You're a confident, bright, young woman born in these times where you are able to, articulate and get your point across. Nothing in this world gets more respect than the knowledge that you have, than your profession. So if you are the best in your profession, you have the most of, you have the knowledge of the subject that you're talking about. It's actually the other way around. The man looks up to you and thinks that, why am I not here? Why am I not, talking the same language as he or she is speaking? I speak to a lot of lawyers on a regular basis because right now we are working on a data privacy product. So I speak to a lot of, people from head legal, from a lot of industries, a lot of corporations. So I actually have been introduced to the domain of data privacy very recently, and I've had to do a lot of reading up, a lot of research myself, just by telling me that, hey, listen, just go and build a product. I won't be able to do it. I had to do a lot of research myself. But when I talk to these people, pretty much after a couple of 5-10 minutes, they ask me that, are you a lawyer? Now, I have nothing to do with a lawyer. But that is the level of confidence and the level of enthusiasm and the level of passion you must be able to exhibit when you're talking about a subject. And the subject can be A, B, C. So when you're talking about reading, or this generation not doing enough of reading, I would say reading is being done, but at various levels. It's a very misfocused, and it's basically across everything. You as a student, as a lady, as a man, want to take up a subject, you need to read about it. ChatGPT will not be enough, right? So that's all I would want to say. Yeah.
So thank you very much. So we are run out of time. This conversation could have gone on for a lot more time, but as they say, all good things have to come to an end. And I would like to, first of all, thank all the panelists for making this yet another memorable session. Lot of takeaways, and Amrita, I'm sure you'd be very happy to see that there has been a lot of interaction with the audience as well. Thank you for co-hosting this event. Over to you, Vaidehi. And before Vaidehi takes over from me, I would like to end by stating that all of us, both men and women, should be proud of the fact that we are born in this country where not only in the past we have had women being recognized, respected for what they stood for, but even in the current times, this is one of the few countries where we can go out and make things happen the way we want things to be. So it's up to us to go out and grab this opportunity and create a unique, distinctive position for yourselves and be successful in your respective dreams and aspirations. Thank you very much, and over to you, Vaidehi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Uma ma'am. Thank you all of you all for this very vibrant panel discussion and sharing of your experiences. And would you like to step down? Be comfortable? Okay. So, and now I'd like to invite Amrita Katara to please come and present her vote of thanks for today's events.
On behalf of Hope Foundation and Research Center and I2IT, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. This is the 18th edition of Women's Prowess, and sitting in the audience during the first few editions, I used to wonder, why do we do this? We have this conversation once a year for a couple of hours. What difference is it going to make? But then it struck me that together we have kept this conversation going. We're moving further towards the direction of gender equality, and we are hopefully inspiring young women to reach for the stars. So I'd like to thank Dr. Uma Ganesh and Dr. Ganesh Natarajan for organizing this event with us. Thank you for being with us here today and over the last few years as well. Thank you to Ms. Khandelwal for telling your story and for reminding us that we should never settle. Thank you to Ms. Shroff, Munot, thank you for pointing out that we need to believe in ourselves if we want to succeed in anything. And thank you to Ms. Saxena for sharing your challenges at the beginning of your career and for telling us about how perseverance has made you who you are. I look forward to meeting you all at the next Women's Prowess. Thank you.
I'm too short, I need that stool. Okay. So, so thank you all students and everybody for being here. That brings us to the end of this episode. And we'd like to end with the national anthem. So I request all students to stand and sing with me. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे Jaya, 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 hey. Thank you and have a good evening. Yeah.
Sorry. I forgot. Okay, just get them together.